Wade, let's get into Star Wars Celebration. Japan was last week. We kind of missed it right as our episode was airing last week. Star Wars Celebration was happening, right? I think
It
Jacob
was
was like, "Shoot,
it
we
was
just missed
live.
all these
Guys,
announcements."
after the podcast, we stay on and we talk a little bit about plans. And I looked at my phone and all these announcements for these movies. I was like, guys, we literally live
We
streamed
literally
Yeah, yeah,
we're
yeah.
live streaming, not talking about it.
I know.
Sometimes that happens, you know. That's happened a few times where we're like, "Shoot, there's so much stuff that just happened, like news-wise."
Thursday is just a popular day to
Yes,
release your announcement.
yes.
But Jacob,
Yeah.
I'm glad you're in your Star Wars room for
Yeah, this is my
this segment
welcome
here.
to my Star Wars room. One day you'll get an official room tour, but
Nice.
yes, you can see I actually have a Star Wars room. It's
That's
quite
sick.
small. It's
That's so
practically a
cool.
walk-in closet, as you can
Nice.
see. That's what
But
it
it's so
is used
cool.
for. But I converted it, and it's my space,
Before,
man.
yeah, dude, that's awesome, man. Before we get into some of these reveals, guys, I don't know if you guys got to watch any of Star Wars Celebration, but I just props to them for how cool of an event this is. Like when they intro a character, they have like these crazy screens, you know, kind of showing the best clips, but also with like crazy awesome cinematic score. Like when Hayden Christensen came out, I sent it to
Yeah.
Wade. I was like, dude, this is that made me like cry almost. Like the amount of respect they have for the actors, the characters they played is pretty cool.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So just props to them for that. I just thought it was really awesome. But yeah, let's get into these reveals, Wade. First one, we've got The Mandalorian and Grogu. These are the two movies. Mandalorian Grogu coming out next year, 2026, and then Star Wars Starfighter coming out 2027. Before we get into Starfighter, let's talk about The Mandalorian and Grogu. There is a leaked trailer out there. You guys can go find it. We're not going to show any images from it. We don't want to get demonetized. But we can kind of talk a little bit about what happened. You got Mando on an AT-AT taking out snowtroopers. You've got what's her name? Sigourney Weaver's character as kind of the head rebel pilot for the new the new order. Wait, what's it called? What's it called now? The New Order. Yeah.
First Order?
First Order?
No, not the First Order.
Resistance?
What's the the New Republic. Sorry. The New Republic is what it is now. You've got tons of droids. You've got Zeb from Rebels. That's
Nice.
pretty cool. I hope there's some cool action pieces. You've got Grogu with his mischief, of course, you know, using the Force a little bit. And also you got Rada the Hutt, played by Jeremy Allen White, as some sort of gladiator character, like a ripped Jabba, basically, with his arms up, you know? That was kind of
Dang.
cool. I don't know what any of this movie is about, you know, but I'm hyped for it because I think it's going to be kind of like the first two seasons. Like the quality-wise, hopefully, is really there because they can kind of put a lot more money in because it's a feature film, and I think it's going to be successful, honestly. But yeah, guys, how you feeling about this movie? Wade, let's start with you.
Yeah, I'm excited. Laggy says he's stoked for new Star Wars, and so
That's
are
it.
we.
That's the essence, man.
Yeah,
Star
we're
Wars.
excited over here. But yeah, I Cam, when you sent me this trailer, it felt illegal watching it. I'm not gonna lie, because it was
You guys
like,
have seen this? Can I
it
watch
felt so illegal to watch.
Yeah, I
'cause
watched it,
It was
yeah.
like, you know, some guy's phone
gotta
recording when he's
find it.
definitely not supposed to.
Dude, but it was so good,
felt
wasn't it?
So epic. It's gonna be fun.
It feels like a side quest, but I don't even care. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
like they're supposed to be like tying up the storyline, right? So I don't know.
But what is it? Is it about Grogu's, like, what are they gonna do with Grogu? I don't know. Maybe is it even about Grogu? Like, I don't know.
I'm not gonna lie. The movie feels pretty unnecessary, but I'm trusting that they're making it for a reason. And part of me wonders if it's a true Mandalorian finale, or
Maybe.
if it's a pretty big setup for an eventual endgame style movie that would bring
Yeah,
together
I
Boba
thought about
Fett,
that.
Ahsoka, and Skeleton Crew, all the things that take
Sure.
place in this
Right.
time.
Sure.
Right. That makes sense.
I hope it's not. It's got to be different. The fact that it's not a season 4, you know, it would have been so easy and so consistent just to say, "Hey, we're working on the Mandalorian season 4," and have this be the story. So I'm hoping that from besides the little snippets we've seen, that there's something. It's kind of like we talk about Pixar movies before they come out. I always tend to say the trailers are underwhelming. Then you watch the movie and you see the secret sauce, the thing that makes it Pixar, the thing that twists your
Yeah.
heart. I think
Yeah.
there's a secret sauce in here somewhere that we don't really have an inkling of yet.
Yeah, like who's the bad
Yeah,
guy?
something's not right. Something's not complete yet that we don't know. So hard to really tell, but currently
Yeah.
it feels unnecessary. I'm hoping it feels
Yeah.
either like a strong finale or a perfect setup.
We got a comment.
Yeah, Sam says Mando and Grogu movie just looks like one long side quest filler episode.
I hope so, but I think Jon Favreau is cooking. I don't know what he's doing because it's Jon Favreau. I mean, he directed Iron Man 1 and 2, you know? He directed Elf. So there's something to this movie that we don't know about. Is it a crazy bounty hunter movie? You know, some sort of bounty. Is there some sort of Jedi thing going on with maybe Luke shows up again? I have no clue.
Yeah,
they've really
remains to be seen. Really,
There's some CGI artist who hasn't seen his family in 4 weeks because he's deep faking Luke's face right now.
Dude, he looked so good in Boba Fett, honestly, though.
Yeah,
Luke looked
they did the
it
work.
looked real. It looked so real.
I love the idea that they had him come back in season 2 of The Mandalorian, and somebody who does their own editing said, "Let me try to deep fake Luke better," and he posted it online. And instead of being like taken down or blocked, Lucasfilm hired him
So
to work
good.
with the team on the Book of Boba Fett, and it was pretty impressive work. So
Yeah, it looked so good, honestly. Any more any thoughts? Are we good? We can move on to Starfighter.
Let's go to Starfighter.
So, Starfighter, this movie is coming out 2027. You got Sean Levy, the director of tons of stuff, honestly, like childhood, you know, a lot of our cinematic stuff, you know, what? Night at the Museum, Stranger Things, Real Steel, Deadpool and Wolverine. This guy is a pro. He's a pro.
yeah,
really,
Sean Levy's list is ridiculous.
Yeah.
No, and that makes sense to have a Star Wars movie. Like,
For
to me,
sure.
like he kind of is a classic adventure type,
Yes.
smartly written.
Free Guy, Real
Free
Steel.
Guy,
I mean,
yep.
these movies that he's made since we were kids are always awesome. Do you guys even
sure.
remember Cheaper by the Dozen?
Oh
I love
yeah,
those movies.
really?
That was some
So
of his-
good.
I mean, think of this career trajectory from Cheaper by the Dozen, all the Night at the Museums, Real Steel, and recently he's had a little more action. He's very involved in Stranger Things. He's one of the executive producers and one of the main directors with the Duffer Brothers. And you know, Free Guy was awesome, and you know, Deadpool and Wolverine was just great. This guy's hit list is ridiculous, and him doing Star Wars is perfect.
And he kind of captures that childhood nostalgia for somehow he's really good at that.
Lots of fun, but it's also pretty serious at the same time.
Yeah. But we got Ryan Gosling as the main actor in this movie, which is crazy. I'm assuming he's going to be the Starfighter of the movie. I don't know. We have no clue. Or he's a Jedi, maybe. I don't know. Who knows what this is going to be. But I think it's apparently 5 years after the Battle of Exegol that we see in The Rise of Skywalker, which was kind of crazy. Sean Levy dropping Exegol. I was not expecting that, you know, because they really don't try to talk about the sequels recently for some reason. But very interesting. Guys, Wade, what do you think this movie is? Do you think this is something? What is it, Wade?
Dude, I'm not good at guessing this kind of stuff. I mean, you know, maybe he's a replicant or something, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. I honestly I don't like the name that much. It feels kind of redundant, like Star Wars.
It is kind of like Starfighter. Like yeah.
Yeah, I think this is the Rogue Squadron movie that Patty Jenkins was directing. Maybe they reworked it. I'm assuming. I don't know.
It wouldn't surprise me if they had a lot of previs and maybe even a couple like interiors built and costumes designed, and they thought, hey, you know, Sean, you're working on a movie. You use these elements.
Exactly. Maybe that's it. It kind of apparently kind of like Top Gun of the Star Wars universe. So I could really see them doing a really cool movie. You know, I'm kind of sad because I do want more Jedi stuff. I miss the Jedi lore and all that kind of stuff. But if they can really pull this off, I wonder what the threat is. You know, after the Battle of Exegol, when you have somehow the Emperor returned, how you can top that. I don't know, but maybe it's some sort of one-off movie. I don't know.
Somehow Thrawn returned. Speaking of Thrawn,
Oh, Ahsoka season 2 confirmed, coming out next year, I believe. They've recast Balin's Skull with an actor from I believe it's from Game of Thrones. Is that
Hmm.
right,
Yeah,
Jake?
he
Yeah.
played the Hound on all 8 seasons.
Yes. And also Hayden Christensen confirmed to return, which we kind of already theorized about that because of the father, the daughter, the son.
We did.
Like, what's
Yeah, I
going
listened back to
on?
that episode, and Jacob, I think your take was that it was a good ending for him. So it's interesting that now they're bringing him back.
What's going on? I don't know. Jake, how do you feel?
Yeah, I didn't expect it, but I really don't hate it. I thought that might be the last time we see Hayden Christensen
Hmm.
as Anakin or in
Yeah.
Star Wars, and I was really okay with it. But if he's going to be kind of a Force Ghost mentor or someone to for Ahsoka to consult with, I think that there'd be actually be a lot of powerful scenes.
Wait, didn't you have a theory that he was going to take the
He
father's
he needs
place?
to take the father's place because in that Clone Wars episode where they have the father and the daughter and the son, obviously the daughter represents the light side and the
Yeah.
son the dark side. He is like the father says to Anakin, "You need to take my place and keep my children in check to keep balance with the Force," and he says no. And so I wonder
Oh,
if obviously I think the father dies in that episode or
yeah,
something like
yeah.
that. Yeah,
So the force is out of whack,
the force was
technically.
out of whack, and like only I think only the son survived. So it's like maybe that's why Anakin turned to the dark side. It's
And,
it's just an interesting like
and did you catch that
overarching
the
theory,
daughter's statue was destroyed, right?
right?
In the Ahsoka show. So
Yeah,
And
that's
they.
also you see
interesting.
the owl, which is the representation of the daughter,
Mhm.
near Ahsoka. So
What
I'm
Dave
just
Filoni's
saying,
he's cooking.
there's some good theories there.
It's funny because this kind of stuff is really, really niche. I have a coworker who loves Star Wars. But he's only seen the 9 movies. I don't
Yeah,
think he's even seen Solo or Rogue One. Um, and I could say things like, "Have you seen it? I'm watching Andor season 2 tonight. What's that?" Well, it's just a different, there's rabbit holes,
He's
yeah.
a
and
Oh, for
casual
sure, for
guy.
sure.
and I,
Yeah.
I don't blame anybody for just
No,
casually
yeah.
watching something, even if they love it, and not going all the way down the rabbit hole. But this is the bottom of the rabbit hole. I mean, the we're talking sequel to an animated
Yeah, yeah.
episode 15 years ago, and it's cool that they can make it for people like us who are really into it. That's a really cool theory, Wade. And the imagery that was in season 1 of those characters, the father and the daughter and the son, was really, really strong and really apparent. So it seems like maybe it's just an homage to make remember that that's part of the world, or maybe it's really setting up what season 2 is about. I don't know.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know. At the end of Rebels, when they go to the world between worlds, the mural is of the same people,
Mhm.
father, daughter, son. So
Crazy.
I don't know. Ahsoka's pretty heavily in that.
I have a
So
nut once we get into Andor, but my thing with all of these shows is why is the quality not as good as Andor? Like visually wise. You know what I'm saying? Like I think Ahsoka was pretty close. With the not the story, but really like they're close on the visuals, but Andor looks like a Star Wars movie and they've got to up the ante, take their time more so maybe on the visuals with this stuff cuz Mando season 3 was kind of rough honestly but like why is Andor's budget so good? I don't know.
probably
Well,
because
I'm not sure it's the budget just as much as the people working on it.
True,
Um,
true.
different ideas, different philosophies. I mean, the philosophy of a production isn't just in the writing, in the directing. It goes all the way down to who's masking the VFX in a certain
Yeah,
scene.
yeah.
And those people have bosses who report to the director. So it all trickles down. It's all style. Everything looks different. Nothing, looks the same.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
just so happens that Andor's production team, the people working on it, whether it's because they have more prep time,
They worked on Rogue One.
yeah, I believe it's because they have a bit of a clearer vision,
Yeah.
and kind of we'll talk about this more, but kind of the DNA of Andor is supposed to be a little real, so they have a little less fantastical elements in
hmm,
their background and make it feel a little more grounded.
But that
Um,
is Star Wars, like using the real things but adding the fantastical to it. You know what I mean? Like Andor's using a real wheat field is what it seems like. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? But you watch the Acolyte and it's like definitely a sound
It's
stage, you know?
it's it's the volume, yeah.
It's
It's
the
like I said,
volume.
it's just different. You've probably got Tony Gilroy running Andor and saying we are going to go scout locations. And
Yeah.
no offense, I love the guy. You've got Dave Filoni shooting Ahsoka, and he's like, "This planet in a new galaxy is going to be filmed in my garage." It's just the philosophies of the productions are different.
Yeah.
When I like what's happening on screen so much, I don't really care. But you're right, it does show. I thought the very first shots of Andor season 2, we'll get to it, of the TIE prototype in the hangar were so crisp and
Yeah.
so realistic that it hit me like a freight train of like, wow, I'm really watching something cool.
Yeah, if
But
you're
even-
watching our
anyways,
Star Wars
yeah.
breakdown here, go check out the Andor breakdown. That'll be a separate video.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Ahsoka is sorry, I just wanted to say one more thing about
Oh,
Ahsoka.
okay.
No, you got it, Jake.
I
You got it.
loved Ahsoka actually brought me to tears at one point when they took off with the Purgils to the other galaxy. Just how adventurous and how much payoff I felt. I mean, it really moved me, but because I'm a guy who has a room like this, you know what I mean? I don't think that would even interest some other people.
Right.
And I was actually a little disappointed with the look of Peridea once they got there. I thought it was a little bland.
Yeah.
Since then, I've kind of thought of, again, the philosophy of it of being like, okay, well, it's supposed to be this ancient land, and it's kind of got this abandoned tundra feel. I'm really not complaining too much, but that was something that did stick out to me. Was it
I
didn't?
mean, you
feel,
waited years for it because
Yeah,
of the Rebels finale, you
it
know?
didn't feel as striking and captivating as it could have been. And honestly, I like the show. I like Dave Filoni. I'm really not trying to complain. It felt a little lazy. Just it's a barren wasteland. That's why there's nothing there.
Mm.
That's not what I thought the next galaxy would look like.
Hmm.
But that's just part of it. One more thing about Andor, talking about Rory McCann's recasting. I know nothing about Ray Stevenson as a person. Never
Yeah.
met him. But his portrayal of Balin Skull just it captivated me. The way
Mm.
he was sad and melancholy about the way the world worked. He had his little monologue about empires, rebellions again and again and again. And his acting was just it was sad. It was
It's one of his best characters.
for sure. And it's one of Star Wars' best characters.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really shocking that a side villain of a Disney Plus show is so interesting. And I was just so bummed when he died, man. Like I said, I don't know the guy personally, but his work impressed me so much in that show, and even meant a bit that I was really devastated. But Rory McCann, from what I know, is a cool individual, and he's an awesome actor. He crushed it in Game of Thrones. He was stoic and he was hard, and he was really mean, but he kind of had a heart of gold, and a really great story arc. And I think he's going to be able to pick up this torch really well. But man,
Nice.
it's even sad seeing him in the picture, Ray Stevenson.
Man,
So rest in
yeah.
peace. But because he created.
Why was he more interesting than Ahsoka? That's kind of sad.
Well, I think a lot of it, Ray Stevenson, I think poured a lot into the character. I think he could have had that line, empires fall, rebellions. It's been a year so since I watched it. They rise, they fall, they rise, they fall. I don't know. Anybody could have said that line and just been like said it, but he added a lot to every aspect of that character.
He really did. He's a good character.
Just for context, everyone, here's what the guy looks like.
Okay.
You ever
So,
seen
I mean-
Outpost? He's the guy that walks around going narp, narp.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I think
hilarious.
if they whiten up his beard, you wouldn't be able to tell.
No, you
honestly.
probably
Not
maybe his
as-
voice, but
Yeah, we will
yeah,
see.
he looks pretty close.
Is he
so.
British by chance?
I'm pretty
Yeah.
Okay,
His
so
hot
that
fuzz
is going to help
definitely
because
British.
Ray Stevenson wasn't even British. He's obviously American, I think, right? Or is he British? I don't know. He might
No,
be
he's
British.
American.
No.
For sure.
But yeah, we will see. That's exciting, Jake, and that's cool you have that outlook. We've got The Ninth Jedi, which is an anime short series made by Star Wars Visions. They made the few seasons of Star Wars Visions. I don't know if you guys caught those episodes back in the day. There's some good ones. There's some really weird ones. there's some really good ones that could be movies. I think personally, there's some really cool anime shorts.
I think
But
that's
we're
classic anime is like some really crazy, amazing good and some of the weirdest stuff you've ever
yeah,
seen.
like Rabbit Girl.
There's
Yeah.
no in between.
But this, I don't know. This could be fun if it's about a specific Jedi. Hopefully, I don't know what it's about. I didn't read the synopsis on this, but you guys hyped for this at all? Or
I have not watched any of Star Wars Visions, which is
oh, there's some.
ridiculous.
There's a.
Um,
I
They're
should. I'll
quick
send you a.
watches.
There's some really good ones. There's some really weird ones. So, yeah,
yeah,
but
I'm a fake fan.
Okay.
nice, sweet. Maul, Shadow Lord. This is my most anticipated animated thing by far. This looks cool. I watched the leaked trailer on this as well.
You always the leaked like images and trailers.
We've got Sam Witwer back.
Yes.
And this is apparently right after Clone Wars, the final season. So we're getting Maul doing his thing, possibly forming the Crimson Dawn. Possibly. Jake,
That'd be cool.
what are you
Sorry,
doing?
I'm having an issue.
Having a-
there. Don't worry.
Very
about
good.
it.
So we're getting Maul forming the Crimson Dawn, possibly, but also Sam Witwer. I watched a few interviews. He's talking about how why does Maul allow the Emperor to keep doing what he's doing, or not out the Emperor, because he knows all the details. You know,
Right.
he knows that the
He
Emperor.
basically told everyone too in
Yes.
Clone Wars many times.
Yes. And so very fascinating. He is going to be taking an apprentice, Darth Talon, apparently. But yes, Darth Talon, the
Really?
the Twi'lek
Yeah.
chick. Yeah, the
Wow,
red
that's good.
Twi'lek.
So they're taking some expanded universe stuff, huh?
They are, but they're
Cool.
changing it. You know how Dave Filoni does? He's like trying to grasp the old canon and bring it back in,
Yeah.
you know?
Interesting.
I don't think it's going to be Darth Talon. It's probably just going to be Talon, I'm
Sure.
assuming,
Yeah.
you know?
And that's fine because
but
obviously they make a big point about Maul. Besides the Phantom Menace, he's just Maul. You know, he's renounced the Darth. He's not
yes.
Sith.
Yeah.
He hates his old master. And he really is just Maul. Which is cool. I'm glad they didn't name it Darth Maul Shadow Lord. Feels like a commitment to that part of the character.
Sure.
And it's really cool because in the grand scheme of things, we do have a lot of pieces missing of Maul's life. You know, we have him coming up pre Phantom Menace, both Legends and canon, pretty well covered. And obviously Phantom Menace time and his life during the Clone Wars, extremely detailed. Then it's spotty. We know he runs Crimson Dawn. And then it's spotty again. We know he disappears and turns up on Malachor, and then we have the last month or so of his life chronicled pretty well. So there's a lot of empty spots in here to really tell some cool stories, I think.
Cool.
I love Sam Witwer being involved. He
Yes.
loves this character. This character means everything to him. So does Star Wars in general.
Get over
And from what I understand, he's actually behind the scenes too as a part of the creative process. So
Yeah, good.
So
Definitely need to because he's so smart Star Wars wise.
Mhm.
Like there's so many times where I guess he like even corrected Dave Filoni, who's like the ultimate nerd. So
And hear me out. I liked Bad Batch, but it's at the end of the day, I was like, why does this matter? You know, the end of Bad Batch was just like, okay.
I agree, Cam. It was a
You
little
know,
anticlimactic.
like Omega is just a bounty hunter now, you know? Like, okay.
I felt like they were
But,
setting up for more for sure. Yeah.
But this is an actual character we care about. You know what I mean? Like, that's pretty exciting that Dave Filoni is going to be putting all of his efforts into this, animation-wise. Sam says, I hope that this show connects to Solo. That would be nice. I would like to tie up that loose end that we've never gotten. Like, what's going on with the Crimson Dawn and also, like, Kira, right? From Solo. Maybe they're gonna do that. Maybe a season like 3 would be when he's with Kira. Maybe that would be kind of cool. I don't know if they can tie it all together. That'd be sweet. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of missing pieces around this time, so they'll hopefully be able to do it. I really appreciate the restraint that Lucasfilm Animation has to maybe only do one series at a time. It would be so easy for them to go to Disney and say, "Let us do," or vice versa, Disney to ask Lucasfilm Animation do 4 series at once. You know what I mean? Just this. You know,
Yeah,
Marvel's got What If and Spider-Man and X-Men and they're doing a Wakanda one, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Lucasfilm Animation seems like they want to do one show at a time. I think that's really cool.
They did Clone Wars, then they did Rebels, and then they went back to Clone Wars, and then they did Bad Batch, right?
And they
Is there
had
anything
Resistance
else?
in there too. Yeah.
And the Resistance, yes.
Well, and then
So,
the Tales of series, but yeah, that's pretty short.
which, yeah, I'm pretty hyped for Tales of the Underworld. But, yeah, this gets into the next picture, Wade, right? Which this is crazy. 20 years of Star Wars animation. How do you guys feel about that? Did you guys watch? Did you guys see this panel? Pretty
I
cool
did.
that pretty awesome what they've accomplished, honestly. And apparently, if you watch like the trailer, they really like broke the barriers of animation. They really tried new things. And so it's pretty cool what they've accomplished in 20 years, honestly. And look at all these original characters, but also using some original Star Wars characters from the movies. Pretty cool,
Yeah, and
honestly.
it is cool that the animation, so many of us thought it was just kids stuff, kids show while growing up. But it's crazy how it expanded, it made the universe. I mean, it literally blew it up to even bigger than, what we thought as kids watching the original movies. So definitely props to them for 20 years of it.
If you watch like any like YouTuber, a lot of them kind of fell in love with Star Wars through Clone Wars, the show. You know what I mean? Like that was their entry point for Star Wars, which is insane to me. That like for us, Wade, it was obviously the originals, know, and then the prequels, which we fell in love with as young guys. But for some people it's Clone Wars, like the clones, and they know every single type of clone. They know the characters, Waxer, Boyle, all the clone names. So yeah, this is pretty hype. Jake, how you feeling about this?
There's a mistake on this poster.
There's
two Jabba the Hutts.
What in the world?
Yeah, there's Jabba the Hutt. He's he's up to the right. He's under the Zillo Beast's arm.
Yep.
And then he's right at the front of the poster, right next to Ahsoka and Wrecker. He's right in between them, right below C-3PO.
Jabba the Hutt, Cam. It's
Ezra Bridger.
It's Ezra. Remember, he's like, this is Jabba the Hutt.
Oh yeah,
I'm Jabba the Hutt.
I need to rewatch Rebels. It's so good. Rebels is so underrated.
That's my favorite recurring joke. I'm Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah, that's good.
Deals on
good
deals
stuff.
On deals.
Props to Dave Filoni. I would like them to branch out, maybe, but it's all good. We've got Light and Magic Season 2. This was released recently. I think right as
I plan to watch it. I watched the first season. Super good.
I watched the first 2 episodes. It's more so about the prequels, which is really fun for me to watch that.
I bet that is really interesting.
But the fun thing about the show is they go into kind of not like they don't really hone in on the people's lives, but they do get to like talk to the person who was like, yeah, during this time, like I was getting no sleep. I had insomnia. Like I was like going crazy because the work was so bad, like they kind of talk about the individuals who figured out how to do these types of things that were impossible. So that's what's really cool about Light and Magic. And obviously ILM is just a crazy company. Like George Lucas. Yeah. Jake,
I was just going to joke. Imagine how hard this poster would go if you didn't know it was a documentary.
Or if you didn't know any of these characters.
Yeah, you didn't know any of these characters. You're like, what is this?
Like, what is this?
This movie's crazy.
Dinosaurs, X-Wings, a Squid Man. But yeah, I mean, I really like watching the behind the scenes stuff on this kind of stuff, and it really kind of hones in on Jar Jar on the first episode, which is such an interesting thing. You wouldn't think like Jar Jar, but it took a lot to accomplish that. And I love how George Lucas is like so demanding. He's like, no, we're going to get this done. We're going to do it. Like, just keep making more. He's like, nope, wrong. We're going to do it again. Different type.
Dang. No, yeah, he was definitely very,
He's a visionary, honestly.
About his stuff.
Yeah. We got some comments, Wade. We should try to.
This is a question for us all. If
Oh,
Disney gave you complete control over a new Star Wars show, what would each of you pitch them?
oh, interesting.
Hmm.
What is it, show or movie?
A new Star Wars show.
Oh, show. Okay. I want some sort of like I know this is like Old Republic, but like the twin story where there's an evil one and a good one, which they did with Acolyte. They definitely copied Old Republic, a little bit, but maybe an Old Republic show. But I would actually like a movie series on that, a full on trilogy of Old Republic movies. But maybe an Old Republic show would work. I don't
Yeah.
know.
What
What
I
about
would
you
want
guys?
would be Obi-Wan and Anakin as in between episode 1 and 2, like some early training stories.
Oh,
I think that'd be a fun show.
That's rarely
like
been mined too. I think there's
Yeah, there's like
one
nothing.
comic and maybe 2 books that even touch those 10 years.
yeah. What are they talking about? Like when he's like, "I fell into a dream and you saved me." It's like,
Yeah,
what are they
exactly. I'm so
talking
curious
about?
about it. Fell into
Yeah.
that nest of gun dogs. I'm like,
Yeah.
what's
What
that
in the
story? I want to
world?
know.
Yeah. Man. Yeah, Jake, what about you?
Guys, I actually have a plot, not even a full outline yet, but I'm an aspiring writer,
Yeah.
and I write a lot, um, and I have a idea for a book actually, a Star Wars book that I would love to write and submit to Lucasfilm Publishing and get
Dang.
published. Um, Probably not going
Dang.
to happen, but I want to write it anyways for my own sake.
Yeah.
It would be called Star Wars: The Tyrell Saga, and
Oh.
it would be the what we consider the Skywalker Saga, episodes 1 through 9, but from the perspective of the originally of him, and then the family of Rots Tyrell, the pod racer who gets blown up in episode 1. But you see in a deleted scene that it actually might be in the movie, but his wife and children are there at the pod race with him. Um, and so I think the story would be told in 3 parts, maybe more, but it would be about his life and then his children's life during the Galactic Civil War, and then
Oh
his
man.
grandchildren's life during the rise of the First Order. And all along the way, I'd love to connect it with, as a kind of idea, connect it with all the expanded stuff
Oh
and
yeah,
tie
yeah.
into events that aren't necessarily just from the original 9 movies, and kind of use this story of these pretty much original characters as a bridge of all of this stuff, episode 1 to episode 9, and all the random crap that I've read in between, kind of bridge it all.
Dude, that's
Dang, that'd be
So
cool.
hilarious.
don't,
You should
don't steal
definitely
my
do that.
I'll steal my idea, because I'm going to actually going to do that. I guess you could call it a fanfic, but nobody's going to kiss Luke Skywalker.
There's some funny fanfics out there like R4 or whatever that he's a Jedi.
Yeah, I heard that one.
Wow.
When he blew up in A New Hope, he knew that R2D2 needed to go with Luke.
Oh yeah, no, that's not even a fanfic. That's from
Is that actually real?
yeah, that's from a certain point of view, which is
Oh yeah.
it's a
Yeah, yeah,
series
yeah.
that tells the stories from the point of view of side characters. And he's not a
Yes.
Jedi, but it tells from his point of view when they're in that lineup being bought by Uncle Owen. And he starts getting taken away as he's been bought by Uncle Owen, and R2 starts freaking out. R2's saying to him in binary, he's like, "Hey, dude, I'm telling you," and he tells him like the whole story of why he's there. He's like, this guy is so important, and I have all this data in me. And R4 is like, you know what? I'm gonna sacrifice myself for the cause.
Wow, that's
And
hilarious.
he short circuits himself so R2 gets bought and can continue the story.
But
It's
then
pretty cool.
Pelimoto buys him, so he's fine.
Yeah,
Right?
he'll be fine.
That's true.
Yeah.
I love him coming back in that. That's great.
Yeah. Real quick, Sam says if they made a show of early years of Anakin and Obi-Wan, every episode would have to include Anakin losing his lightsaber, since Obi-Wan makes such a big deal about it in episode 2.
True. That would be
So,
a main plot
yeah.
point.
That definitely would. All right, let's
Never
move
lose
on.
this. We've got Star Wars Zero Company. This is kind of a new video game, I believe. It looks like just a ragtag team. You got a Mandalorian, you got a clone, you've got a bounty hunter, you got a droid. You know, just a classic.
Typical Star Wars fashion, ragtag group of
Yeah,
randos.
get every type of a Jedi. You know. I don't know if there's any story to this. It seems like a cheaper game. It's not like the Fallen Order or like, you know, the Jedi Survivor. I don't think it's that quality, you know? But I watched the trailer. Looks fun. I don't know. Any thoughts?
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. And then this one is kind of interesting. I read an article that Bryce Dallas Howard was being interviewed, and they asked her, "What's your dream project?" And she said, "I want to make a Mace Windu movie." Like, where is that guy? She said, like, and she apparently loves Samuel L. Jackson. I don't know how you guys would feel about this. Obviously,
I mean,
he's
there's
dead.
been so many rumors for so long. He's dead, right? I mean, you don't survive the fall out of the window after getting chopped out your hands off.
He fell on.
That's my person. I know he's a Jedi. He can land from fall heights. That's what Samuel L. Jackson said himself. I mean,
yeah.
Where has he been then? What are you gonna do? You know what I mean? Like,
I think it would be a cool thing if like the red clones are after him, you know, and like he's just running for his life the entire movie. That would be kind of cool, like John Wick 2, kind of, you know, where John Wick's just running the entire movie. You know, it's just like really high, intense thriller. And like maybe at the end he does actually die, but we just want to see this really awesome John Wick Mace Windu like movie where the clones are just after him. You know, I don't know. It could be cool.
I actually don't hate that. I think that'd be kind of cool because
that'd be interesting.
There's no way to fit him in anymore. The time there's more and more stuff.
Yeah.
It'd be like, where the heck was he? He needed to help.
Yeah, because he's
but if he's spent the last week of his life maybe helping someone, a character in the movie, and then he
should have been Grogu.
dies a week.
If it was Grogu, that would be sick. But they didn't do that. They did Keller and Beck, which I actually liked Keller and Beck. I think that was cool. Which
was cool
the guy, which the Keller and Beck actor, Jar Jar Binks actor as well. He said he wants the same idea. Basically, he wants like a whole movie of that sequence, which I think would be kind of cool, but I don't know.
No, I don't think we need that.
Or like, where did he take Grogu? I don't know. How did Grogu get into that pram? Who knows? But Bryce Dallas Howard, all of her episodes are killer, honestly, on The Mandalorian. Like, those are some of the best episodes. You know, her dad is obviously, Ron Howard, which is like, he's a visionary. He made Solo when, you know, obviously it wasn't very well received, but Solo was a pretty good movie despite him not looking like Solo and all those issues. But, you know, I don't know. I like the idea, but maybe she'll get a movie. Maybe it's not Mace Windu, but it's something, hopefully. I guess we'll see. Wait, we got one more comment on that.
Oh, whoops. The only way I'd want a Mace Windu movie is if it is at the end of the movie, Boba Fett kills him to avenge his father. It can take place in between episode 4 and 5.
That'd be kind of cool. I don't know.
The only thing is how he'd have to be around for too long to get to that point.
Yes, yeah, because Boba would be too young.
It's like, what was he doing?
Yeah.
I don't know, but fun to theorize, of course.